Mateshwariji's Lokik life. Mama's Lokik name was Radhe and her Lokik father and mother were Prakodas and Rocha, respectively. She was born in Amritsar, Punjab, in 1919. She had one older sister, Parvati, who was already married, and a younger sister named Gopi. Her father dealt in gold and silver and was also a wholesale dealer of desi ghee, pure clarified butter. His business was spread over Mumbai, Madras, and Sri Lanka. He suddenly faced heavy losses in his commercial transactions and was left penniless. This shock led to his death due to heart failure. Radhe then moved from Amritsar to Hyderabad, Sindh, along with her mother and Gopi to live with her maternal grandmother and maternal uncle. Student. Continuing with Mama's Lokik life story, Brahma Kumari Dadi Shantamani mentions that both sisters were admitted into Gundanammal Model School, Hyderabad. Radhe was number one in her studies, not to mention number one in singing and dancing too. Radhe always won first prize at any school competition. Her famous song was Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. People found her enchanting when she danced in a white frock and hat. It was one of Radhe's hobbies to buy any rich, new dress material that came into the market. She was very fashionable. She would create a design herself and then tell Parvati, who in turn would ask their maternal uncle's wife, Rupvanti, to stitch the same. Radhe thus wore a newly designed frock to school daily. Radhe's hair was very long and beautiful. Gopi resembled Radhe, and when people would see both of them on their way to and from school, they would be left speechless in admiration. Radhe's studies continued till the class 10. A light of hope. Mama's mother was my mother's Lokik sister. They had another sister, our second aunt, Dhyani, who was a widow as well. After her husband's death, she too returned home to her parents' home, that is, Mama's home. There was much grieving at home since two sisters had lost their husbands, and three, their father. Mama's mother and her sister wept a lot and prayed to God. My mother too visited their home to pray with them. She would read the Jap, Sahib, Shukmani, scriptures of Sikh religion, for them in the hope that their sorrow would alleviate and make their minds peaceful. My mother often visited them, and Baba's Lokik wife, Mother Jashoda, would see her come and go. One day, my mother happened to meet Mother Jashoda. She asked my mother where she went every day. My mother answered that both her sisters had lost their husbands, and the family gathered regularly to pray for solace and peace. Mother Jashoda then mentioned, Dada, Brahma Baba, conducts a good satsang, spiritual gathering, at home. Why don't you come and experience it for yourself? You could bring them along if you find it worthwhile. Accepting her invitation, my mother visited their home the following day. Baba sat with the Gita in his hand and explained the holy Sanskrit verses. The second chapter of the Gita delves into the topic of the soul. The soul is eternal, imperishable. The soul renounces one body and takes a new one, and so it's fruitless to cry over someone's death. This is just a game for the soul. Whenever Baba began or concluded a satsang, he chanted Om. As soon as people heard the chant, they would experience themselves being separate from the body. My mother, too, had this experience and consequently brought both her sisters, Radhe's mother and my aunt, Mother Dhyani, to meet Baba the next day. These sorrowful mothers became very happy on hearing the complete knowledge of the soul and experiencing detachment from the body. Radhe was perplexed on seeing her mother's and aunt's crying faces bloom into happiness after returning home from the satsang. She asked them, Until yesterday, both of you cried a lot, but today your faces are joyful and blooming. What did you find there? Her mother replied, "We had gone to meet Dada. He gave us a very good explanation on the Gita. Radhe, you probably have been studying the Gita at school. You too should accompany us. After listening to the points, you can clarify them to us." And so Radhe's mother took her to the satsang the next day. The second Baba saw Radhe, he felt she was his higher daughter. And Radhe too felt, "This is the same father who had been separated from me for a long time." Baba then spoke to her in a casual manner, asking her how she was, how she spent her time, etc. Decision. Radhe was 17 years of age when her family members began discussing her marriage. One day, Baba asked her, "Radhe, would you like to marry Pitambari, one of Krishna's names, or someone in a suit and boots? Will you bring benefit to yourself and the world through this knowledge, or get married and take care of your home? Think about it and let me know." Baba gave Radhe 24 hours to think over the answer. But Radhe only took a second to decide the course of her life and told Baba immediately, "I am the Radhe that belongs to Giridhar Gopal, Krishna. I will follow this path of knowledge and bring benefit to the world." That day onwards, Baba began showering Radhe with the rain of knowledge and placed the urn of knowledge on her head. Radhe was adept in chanting Om within the satsang. Those who attended were very much attracted to the chanting. Everyone began calling her Om Radhe, including Baba. This was how the name Om Radhe became permanent. Om Radhe was an accomplished singer. Baba was delighted when she penned and sang the song, "What I Saw and Attained on Coming to Om Mandali." Daily, Baba would write a song and ask Om Radhe to sing it in class. Her songs made the audience feel elated and imprinted an undeniable memory on their hearts. The satsang gradually grew and was attended by both mothers and Kumaris. Sri Anuradhe, Sri Lakshmi. After a while, Baba left for Kashmir with his lokik family. From Kashmir, Baba wrote letters addressed to Mama and other sisters. The sister who received the letter would read it to the satsang. The satsang continued to expand. Once Om Radhe's younger sister Gopi was attending class. As the chant of Om began, she went into trance. She had a vision of Sri Krishna and began dancing. This was the first episode of trance in the gathering. Following this, many others started going into trance. When Baba returned from Kashmir, Gopi had a vision of Sri Krishna, and seeing him, simultaneously saw Om Radhe and Sri Radhe. She caught hold of both of them and began dancing the ras. This was when the wondrous part of divine vision opened up. Gradually, all those who came to the satsang began going into trance. They would see Sri Krishna, Sri Radhe, Sri Narayan, Sri Lakshmi, and begin to dance with them. Baba then spoke about purity. "Children, you will have to become pure if you wish to go to Sri Krishna's kingdom of Vaikunt, which is paradise." This did not pose a problem for the young girls, as it did for mothers. When their husbands returned from their business trips abroad, the couple started quarreling. The husbands demanded the poison-like vice sexual intercourse. But the wives would say, "We have promised the Supreme Soul we will remain pure. We cannot indulge in this poison." The husbands began wondering and discussing amongst themselves who this magician was after all, granting visions of Sri Krishna and asking them to remain pure. Then on, opposition, demonstrations, and picketing began. But Om Radhe remained stable and carefree, carried on looking after the satsang. This took place in 1936. If anyone asked, Baba would say, "I am not doing anything." This spiritual gathering belongs to the mothers and the young girls, the one who conducts the satsang. The one living above comes, speaks, and leaves. I too follow whatever he says. I am ignorant about everything else. Saying this, he would direct everyone to Om Radhe. Baba always kept Om Radhe before him. Gopi's role of going into trance went on for one entire year. She then caught typhoid and left her body in Hyderabad. At that time, Baba sent all the mothers and young girls to the funeral ground. This was the first incident of its kind in the history of Sindh. Prior to this, females never visited the graveyard. People were shocked to see so many females in a funeral procession, and it was Om Radhe who carried out the last rites. Mama was a young girl of 17-18 years, yet everyone called her Mama or Mother. Baba too sometimes called her Mama, sometimes daughter, and occasionally both Mama-daughter. Thus, Om Radhe became Mama. Gradually, her physical appearance transformed accordingly. Dadi Nirmal Shanta, Baba's lokik daughter, says, Baba was the one who kept me with Mama. Since I was young in age, Baba probably thought it was better I stayed with Mama so that I would not miss my own mother. Baba once told me that Om Radhe looks after you, which is why she is your Mama. Up until then, everyone called her Om Radhe, but it was I who began calling her Mama, and everyone followed suit. Day by day, the satsang continued to expand. Baba appointed Om Radhe as honorary administrator. Along with her, 8 other mothers and Kumaris who were firm in knowledge were selected to form an executive committee, and Baba surrendered his entire wealth and property in the name of the mothers. Purusharth, spiritual effort making. The most important characteristic about Mama's personal Purusharth was that she loved to be in solitude. Every day, she woke up at 2 a.m., sat in solitude, and remembered Shiv Baba with a lot of love. There was so much love filled in her remembrance that her eyes would shed tears of love. She would stay up on full moon nights and sit in tapasya through the night. Mother Jashoda, Brahma Baba's lokik wife. Mother Jashoda too called Mama Mama and would go into Mama's lap of love. They shared a very good and sweet relationship because Mother Jashoda would get a vision of Sri Lakshmi whenever she looked at Mama. She too had immense faith in Baba and Baba's elevated versions of knowledge. I have spent much time playing blissfully with Mama and Baba. In Karachi, Mama, Baba, and I did not stay at the same place. Baba stayed separately. From his residence, Baba would send us advice and news, and Mama related the same to us. We stayed with Mama and performed all tasks. When we moved to Abu Rajasthan, we started living together and came more in contact with Baba. When we lived in Brijkoti at Abu, Mama's role of tapasya began. There too, many of us received divine visions, through which Shiv Baba entertained us. Mama's and Baba's roles during the beggary part were amazing and indescribable. During that period, Mama and Baba never ate anything until all the children had eaten their meal. Mama never gave advice in Baba's presence. She did exactly what Baba asked of us and inspired us to do the same. If Baba was unavailable, only then did she make decisions. Such was the unlimited respect Mama had for Baba. Mama and I loved Mama's form of Sri Lakshmi. It felt as though Sri Lakshmi was my own mother. I never saw Mama as my aunt's daughter or my cousin's sister, but as my own mother, Jagdamba. Mama was a mine of virtues. All virtues existed naturally within her. I greatly admired Mama's virtues of maturity. I too paid attention to imbibe and bring into action the virtues of tolerance and patience along with maturity. Message for the Brahmin family. I would like to share this message of Mama with the decoration of the entire Brahmin clan. Mama would say, always see God, the Father, and follow Brahma Baba. If you wish to become perfect, then constantly remember Shiv Baba, follow his Srimat, and emulate Brahma Baba. Hukumi hukum chala raha hai. The one giving you orders is making you move. Never doubt Shiv Baba and become completely viceless. Om Shanti.